Well, hi everyone. My name is Kerington Alston. I am the co-host of Inspire with Al and Keri. And I am so excited to welcome our guest. She is a PhD scientist, a patent lawyer, and founder of absolutely everything curly. So without further ado, Dr. Gaby Longsworth. And did I pronounce that right? Is it Gabby? Because I've heard some people say Gaby. Is it Gabby?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
actually Gaby, like
Is it
baby.
Gaby? Okay, well, I learned something new today. Sorry about that. So, Dr. Gaby. All right. Well, first, I kind of wanted to start at the beginning. I know that you were born and raised in South America. So, I would love to know what that was like and how your transition to America and go from there. So, I mean, North America, obviously.
Yes, sure, sure. So I was born and raised in
Mhm.
Suriname, which used to be Dutch Guyana. So a lot of people may have learned it way back in the day as Dutch Guyana, but we became independent in 75. So it's been Suriname for a long time. And it was an amazing, in comparison, it was an amazing childhood in the
Yeah.
sense that it's an incredibly diverse country. And almost everybody has curly hair. So you kind of feel right at home.
Good. Good. Yeah.
if you
Very
don't
true.
if you don't straighten your hair. I am also
Yeah.
from a mixed background. My mom, who's passed away a long time ago, but she was um, 75% black and 25% Chinese, believe it or not. It's kind of
Wow.
interesting combination. And
Yeah.
my dad is like Dutch, Portuguese, and some Jewish background. So I'm usually on the forms here. I'm other because
Right.
nothing is.
Right, right.
Um,
Wow. So, how do you think that shaped? Did that have anything to do with you in the future wanting to get into curly hair, natural hair, get into the beauty industry? Did that have
Honestly,
anything to do with it?
no, not
Mm-hmm.
not really. I was when I came to the States at age 19 for college. My parents
Mm-hmm.
had no money, by the way. They managed to scrape together a couple $1,000s, and
Amazing.
luckily I was able to find a job. It's a long story, but they were going to immigrate to the U.S. the whole family, and at the last minute, my mom said, "I can't do it. I want to stay."
Yeah.
So I was the only one who came
Oh my
over.
gosh. 19.
And I was so excited. You have no idea how excited I was. I had all these dreams and ambitions and very determined kid. Let's just put it there.
Yeah.
Very independent. I was always very independent and just kind of knew what I wanted to do early on. I was like molecular biology. That's it. That's what I want to do.
Right. Are you the
So
oldest?
I am the oldest.
See, I am too, and I totally relate when it's like that. Okay, I know what I want to do. I'm determined. No one has to hold my hand. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize that. I was like, she must be looking out.
Anyway.
Right, right.
So that
Wow.
was really all I was focused on was
Yeah.
science and and went on to grad school, whatever. But like my hair was certainly something that you were always aware of, right?
Right.
Just growing
Right.
up, my
Mhm.
mom's side, as I said, was black, and most of them had chemically relaxed hair,
Mhm.
processed hair, whatever.
Mhm.
My mom would always say, you have these beautiful curls. Don't chemically treat it. Like you're so
Right.
lucky to have these curls. And to me, it was just like one poofy frizz ball because this is tropical climate. I had no idea what I was doing with my hair, so it was just usually
Right.
frizzed out. Right? It's like
Right.
90s all the time. It's tropical. It's hot. It's humid. So I kept it very short because I did a lot of
Yeah.
sports and I had no time to figure it out. Just had nobody knew really how
Yeah.
to what was best for curly hair. But that's sort of how I remember things were as a kid, and then
Right.
coming here, and then coming here trying to fit in. So I started
Yeah.
chemically
Mhm.
treating my hair. Like let's try to control the curl. Let's
Yeah.
try to do these things to it so you kind of fit in a little bit better with everybody else.
Right. And I
And
also
hating.
find. Oh no, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say
No, no.
I didn't like it, but I felt like I didn't have a choice. Like how
Right.
I didn't know what to do with my hair. I hadn't figured it out yet.
That yeah, I trust me, I can relate. but you come to America at 19. I don't know the timing of it, but I'd imagine that kind of with what you said, because I noticed that in our culture, I feel like there are seasons where it's like cool to have natural hair, and then there are seasons where it's in to have straight hair and all of that. And so I'm sure you kind of were just trying to figure out. And then you're also trying to assimilate into American culture and fit in. And you're
Exactly.
19. So, wow. So, what? So, you get here at 19. What did you start doing? Did you immediately go to school or how did that?
Immediately, immediately went to community college because that's all
Yeah.
I could afford.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately found a job. Literally I had to get a driver's license. Like learn how to drive and get a driver's
Oh,
license.
yeah, that part.
My friends brought me over before they left because they could drive. So I literally had 2 weeks. I had to learn how to
Yeah.
drive, get my driver's license, and then I got that. And as soon as I got that, I got a job at like McDonald's,
Yeah. Just for
basically.
trip. Wow.
And that's all
Wow.
I did was school work,
Mm-hmm.
school work, school work. That was just sort of my world.
Oh my goodness.
You just got to do what you got to do.
Wow, wow. So you're doing this, and how'd you know you wanted to get into the field of into being a scientist, into that field? Because is that what you started off initially with?
So I started off molecular
Okay,
biology,
got it.
once I got my bachelor's, I was
Hmm.
thinking, well, either I go work in a laboratory or I get a master's because that's sort of what
Hmm.
everybody did. And to this day, I thank my professors who I was doing some research in their lab in as an undergrad, and they said, "Gaby, you need to go to grad school, get a PhD." And I was like, "Me?" It just never occurred to me that I could
Hmm.
do that. It just seemed like out of my reach.
Right.
So they kind of put that seed there, and I really thank them. It's just the influence of good advisors and mentors, right, in your life, that they saw in me what I didn't see,
Right.
and and that's what I studied for the GRE. I applied
Hmm.
to all these schools that my dad had always said growing up. Oh, Gaby's gonna go to Yale or Princeton or whatever,
Yeah.
and I always laugh, but I kind of listened to him at the same
Hmm.
time, like 'cause I was dreaming, right? I'm dreaming. We had no money. But I applied to Yale and to
Hmm.
Princeton and to Johns Hopkins, and I got in all of the schools. So it was just America is just like I'm like an example of so many examples of the land of opportunity if you really put your mind to it and work hard, and just
Hmm.
obviously have support, have those people that lift you up and make you
Right.
believe in yourself. But yeah, I had the luxury of choosing which graduate school to go to,
I
and
mean,
I,
who gets to do
I went to
that?
yeah, so which is a great school. So
I think there's something to be said about when you kind of don't have the cushiony life and you have no choice but to make it. It's one thing if well, I can always move back in with mom and dad, or but you don't have that luxury. So it's like,
that is such a good point because my husband is from Belize. He's also
okay,
an immigrant. We met here in Florida. And our kids, we have two boys, they're so spoiled. But we spoiled them. Like
but
we gave them everything that we didn't have. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
just I just don't think they try as hard as we used to. Like like we had no choice. It's like either
yeah,
you go find a job or you have no money to pay rent. Like you just
right,
like we had that
yeah.
sense of urgency, and they have zero.
I find that so inspiring, especially because I think I'm a millennial, but I know it's a lot of millennials and
Uh-huh.
Generation Z's. I think that's what they're called. A lot of them, I think, kind of struggle with, okay, I have these dreams and goals. I know what I want to do, but they like let little obstacles kind of get in their way. And I think your story would so inspire them because you didn't, it's not like, oh, I
No
can't do it because so and so hurt
excuses.
my
No,
feelings. It's like
no
I gotta no
excuses.
excuses. Yeah,
And sometimes I may not be the most sympathetic, honestly, when people who are born here, who have all these
yeah,
opportunities, are like, moaning and complaining, and they can't do this and they can't do that. I'm like, hold on a minute.
yeah,
You have family. You have all
yeah,
these. I didn't have any. I had nobody. I had a couple
yeah,
of friends. I had no family. I had,
yeah,
X amount of money, and I had to like, just do it. So
yeah.
if I can do it, let's see why
Was
you can.
English, did you know English prior to coming, or did you have to learn it as you came
I did know English. I
here?
was very good
Okay,
in languages for sure. But we had English
good.
from fifth
Okay,
grade.
okay,
So, which is another thing that I think the US needs to do better on is like have
yeah,
kids from kindergarten with a language that they need to continue through high school. Everybody should
yeah,
know their language, right? Just off the
yeah,
bat. But yeah, so at least I had that working knowledge. I wasn't very good speaking English, but I could read and write really well.
Hmm.
So that took a little getting used to
Yeah.
because I would translate straight from Dutch into English, which sounded really weird. But
Well, in school, were you, because I imagine whenever I see people who are in the field of science that they're just great at that in school, that was their thing. Was that you? Like, did you love science, math, all of that? Or, yeah,
I
good,
did.
good, good,
I was a very good student. Yeah.
good. Well, see, I hope some young people are watching that even what you do in middle school, high school, it all kind of counts and adds
It all
up.
counts. It all counts and adds up. Absolutely. And doors will open.
Yeah,
Doors will
yeah, yeah.
show that dedication, that grit, and that ambition,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so I know you got your doctorate in science. Which
Yeah.
field?
Human genetics and molecular
Human.
biology.
Got it. All right. And so I know you're a patent lawyer. How did you get into that? Even though you went to school for. So, what's kind of the transition into that?
So this is an interesting thing that maybe not everybody knows, but once you're in
Hmm.
grad school, so it's usually about 6 years from
Okay.
bachelor's to PhD, it takes about 6 years. And it's hard, right? You got all these classes you got to take. You got to TA a lot of times, undergrads or med students. You got while you're also doing rotations through laboratories to decide which lab where
Mm-hmm.
you're going to stay in and do your PhD thesis work in. And around my fourth year, we had a new postdoc in the lab. So this is someone who already got a PhD from another university and then came to our lab to do a postdoctoral, which is where you're pretty much independent doing research and whatever else. And my eyes just kind of opened because of how incredibly difficult it was as a postdoc. So he was making less money as a postdoc than our tech, who had a bachelor's degree. He had no health insurance. He had to pay for it himself. They had no subsidized parking like we did as grad students. I
Right.
mean, it was just one thing after another. And then once he had incredible research done in our lab and was applying for faculty positions, he would tell us he would go to an interview for a faculty position, it'd be one position, there'd be 100
Hmm.
candidates. And they were all his friends. They were all other postdocs who were
Yeah.
also from amazing schools, like we've got Yale, Harvard, Princeton,
Yeah.
whatever, PhDs, postdocs, and they're all competing for one position. And I was thinking, I just I can't do this.
Yeah.
There's no way, right? Because you have no guarantee of anything. You'd have no guarantee that you're going to get a position where you want it. You may have to go to, I don't know, nothing wrong with North Dakota, but you may have to go to
Hmm.
North Dakota, wherever the position
Hmm.
is, you got to go and drag it
Right.
there, right? Then you don't know if you're going to get grants. You don't know
Yeah.
if you're going to get scooped. You don't know if you're going to get good grad students to do your research. It's just very, very unpredictable. And you can be the hardest working person in science and get absolutely nowhere. And I
Mm.
looked around me in my department, all phenomenal professors. We had a lot of women for some reason in our department, but the majority were not married, had no kids, because that's what it took to
Hmm.
get to that level. Whereas the male professors had a spouse at home with kids.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I wanted it all. I didn't want to sacrifice that. I wanted to have a 401k sooner
Hmm.
rather than later. I wanted to have a family. I wanted, like I wanted all. And so
Right.
but I love science. So I didn't want to lose what I'd been working so hard towards. I was like, okay, what can I do with this PhD and still use my science background? And that turned out to be patent law. After lots of soul searching and talking to a
Yeah.
lot of people, doing a lot of research, I discovered that patent law would probably be really good for me. The only catch was I'd have to go to law school, which after
You're
six
probably like,
years,
I'm done with school.
yes. So it was kind of like, okay, my friends my friends in grad school are going to do 4 years of a postdoc because it takes about 4 years postdoc, one postdoc. Sometimes I have to do two, and I'll do 4 years going to law school in the evening while I'm working during the day at the law firm that I was going to start at. So to me, it was like, oh, it just balances out. 4 years, four
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. That's the way to look
That's
at it.
how I sold it to myself.
Oh my goodness.
That's how I ended.
Wow.
Yeah, and that
Wow.
was that was in 1998 when I
Oh,
when I when I made that switch, and I've been at the same law firm all this time.
oh my goodness. Wow.
Pretty
Awesome.
crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
crazy.
I read that you started, and I hope I'm correct on this. I think you started absolutely everything early. Did you wait till your kids were out of school before, not out of school, but like out of the house? until they
They
were
were,
much older to
well, they had,
transition to.
yeah, well, they finished high school. My
Okay.
youngest finished high school, so he finished at 17. He finished a year early,
Mm.
so he started at the local school here, the one that I went to, actually, Florida
Oh
Tech.
wow. Wow.
Um, and so he was living in the dorms, and my older
Mm.
son already left and was doing his own thing. So I was like, oh, I have all this time on my hands.
Yeah.
It was a combination of that plus
Hmm.
COVID. I used to
Hmm.
travel to work a lot. Like every other week, I was on the road going somewhere,
Hmm. Yeah.
and COVID stopped that. So I had a little bit more time on my hands, and I just started doing a lot more research and figuring things out. And then once I figured it out, I was like, I really want to share what I learned
Yeah.
because I was there. I was clueless trying to figure out how to get my hair to behave and look professional, curly.
Right.
so, so yeah, that all sort of went into the mix and why I started this website.
Yes, and I love it. I went to it and I was just kind of perusing it. And what I love, first of all, you don't have 60 million ads. I mean, because sometimes that's a frustration if I'm like trying to find like, recipes somewhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to like exit out and all of that. It's very, it's very clean and very professional. And it seems,
Yeah.
and you could probably explain more about it, but it seems like it's just kind of a place where you can go for resources on how to deal with different textures. And so like a one place, one shop, one place for everyone to kind of figure out what
Yes.
works for their curls. So you could probably, I would love for you to expound on that some more. And
Yeah, I really appreciate you going to the site and making the comment that you did because this was exactly my frustration with other sites, which may have great information, but the ads and the pop-ups and it's so difficult to navigate. You just get a little frustrated. And I wanted something really clean where also I'm completely unbiased. I'm not sponsored by anyone. So I don't have to
yeah,
promote any particular product because I have no skin in the game. I just want to give
yeah,
the neutral, unbiased,
I
best
love
advice.
that. I love that. I see so many influencers. I'm not trying to be critical, but they'll say, "Oh, this is my favorite shampoo," and then literally like 2 weeks later, "Oh, this is my." Well, I'm like, "Now how you have this many different favorite
Exactly.
shampoos in 1 month?" So it's like you
Exactly.
could totally tell it's sponsored and just doesn't feel authentic, and then you just the trust is not there. It's like, well, I don't really.
And
I
I
know
got
you're doing this for yeah.
I
And so
got
I
caught
love that.
all that. I got caught by all
Hmm.
that because I used to follow all
Yeah,
these YouTubers and stuff for the last 2, 3
yeah,
years. Well, they would promote this. I would go run and buy that
yeah.
because the hair is similar. I would go run and buy that and try that, and then 2 weeks later they have another favorite. I'm like, "What? That was your favorite." so,
Right, right. Yeah. So it's like, okay, who can I trust?
so I wanted it to be a site. First of all, I wanted it to be beautiful and welcoming. So there's tons of diversity. There's people from every
Hmm.
possible hair texture, background, whatever, men, women, children. I wanted it to be accurate. That was also my
Hmm.
big thing. I wanted to be science backed. So
Yeah,
why would this work for your hair or not work for hair? I want people to be empowered to figure it out for themselves. Like now I know what's going to work for my hair. So now I know
yeah,
instead of this universe of products, it's
yeah.
maybe this one because these
Hmm.
are going to work for my hair for these reasons. Now I know why. The why
Right.
behind it is always really important to me.
Yeah.
Didn't you know that these gimmicks, like these marketing gimmicks, are not going to work on you anymore because you'll know
Right.
exactly what is in, how to read the ingredients label and what does it mean.
Yeah. I have a question. What common mistakes do you see a lot of women or men make in terms of the products to use for their hair, for their curls?
I think it's a lot of asking someone else what they're using because you love
Mm,
their hair and then you go run
mm,
and buy it and think it's going to do the exact same thing for your hair.
right.
It's a natural thing to do. I have done it myself, so I
Yeah.
understand it. But it's also not reading the ingredients, not
Mm,
understanding what is in this product. Because we're so careful with what we eat and we look at the
yes.
label, maybe
Yes.
even what we put on our skin. But when it comes to our hair, we just gotta ignore all that and just like slather whatever kind of stuff on it.
Good
But
point.
scalp skin, right? Scalp is skin. It still gets in if you're not careful. So
Mm,
being educated about that and not just the products but also the techniques, why you shouldn't brush dry hair or why you shouldn't vigorously brush wet hair or all
mm,
of these, why is that bad? Not just
hmm.
someone telling you it's bad, but why is it bad? And it's
Right.
only bad if you have a certain hair type, maybe, because if you have very healthy, strong, thick hair strands, you can take a whole lot more than someone with very thin hair
Yes.
strands.
Right.
Right. So it's night and day. The same advice does not apply to everybody. Some things apply
Yeah.
to everybody, but a lot of it doesn't. So I think those are the most common mistakes. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely because I saw the quiz. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take some time and I'm gonna take this quiz and really be able to focus on it because I'm gonna do it for me and my daughter because we both have very thick hair. Kind
yeah,
of some may say coarse. It is curly, and I've tried to do the whole wash and go thing, but the problem is when it dries. 'Cause when it's wet, everyone's like, "Oh, that's so. You should just wear your hair like that." I'm like, not seeing it when it dries. It's hard to manage. When it
this,
dries, I'm like,
this, you are exactly where I was. I was
yeah,
like, can
okay,
my hair just stay wet? Because I love how it looks when it's wet.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't, but then I've learned, so now I can literally wash my hair once a week on Sunday usually, and it will stay like this all week because I know.
Wow, because your hair is beautiful, by the way. I was just staring. I'm staring at it the whole time.
And I am having a real challenge because I'm gonna have like the gray, which is a different porosity than the colored parts that I'm growing out. So I have like a whole lot of stuff going on, but you can
The
still
gray's
with the
beautiful.
right,
Yeah.
thank you, with the right products and the right techniques, it should last at least 5 days.
You know what? I'm going to. I'm convinced because for so long I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do that anymore. And I don't have relaxed hair, but I do get it like blown out, and it's just like a silk.
Very healthy, very, very healthy. Exactly. And you could still, you have versatility.
Yeah.
Some weeks you may want to just be natural curly, other weeks you want to blow
Yeah.
dry. You have that
The blow
ability.
dry, just wrap it and so that's really one of the reasons I haven't really done the curly all the way, the managing it. Like I'm like, I can't do this. I have 2 young kids. I can't spend in 30 minutes, an hour trying to do something with it every morning.
Me neither. Me neither. I
Yes.
really don't have time and I have no patience and I exercise every morning and I could still look like this all week. So
That part, yeah.
you know what I used to do before I figured it out? I would have to wet it every single morning.
uh,
Put the product in, go
Yeah.
try to dry it halfway because my
Yeah.
hair's so thick. I can't blow dry it. So that's why I never did straight because I can't
Yeah,
blow dry
yeah.
my arm would fall off.
Right.
Right, especially when it comes to products. So the other thing that's on the website that you may have seen, I have these ultimate guides in the shop page. So the whole thing with the
I saw
website
that.
is instead of having pop-ups and sponsors and
Mhm.
all of this other stuff, I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to be a subscription model, which is why
Mhm.
I'm offering the subscription where everybody has access to everything on the website that currently.
Yeah, I'm interested in
Right?
that for sure. Yes.
So the Find a
Yes.
Salon, I have a Find a Salon database, so it's over 1,200 salons specifically for curly textured hair, like all across the US and also abroad is in this database that you would have access to. But then also the ultimate guide. So what are the ultimate guides? Why is that a big deal? I don't think there's anything like that out there. And what I did is I had put together this database of, there's probably who knows how many hair products are out there, but we have a big chunk of them, like over 7,000 in one database by ingredient so I can search it. So for example, if I want a guide for all the deep conditioners out there, usually it comes to about 100 deep conditioners. So I don't know approximately in terms of the number of products. Then I categorize them for if you have low density hair or high density hair, if they have aloe or coconut, which some people are allergic to, if they're curly girl friendly, if you're into the curly girl method, which is also explained on the website for people who don't know what that is, etc. So every product is marked. So if you have this guide for $10 or get the subscription, yearly subscription, you get access to all the guides, all leave-ins, conditioners, shampoos, whatever it is. You can easily go through and based on your ingredients, which you would have learned from the website, you will know which products are the ones that appeal to you, have the ingredients that you want, that will be good for your hair, and take the whole guesswork out of it. So that's the idea behind those.
Or you could just share from your heart anything that you think anyone needs to hear that could kind of maybe put some fire underneath them. Like if they have some goals and dreams they want to do and they're just like, I don't know. Do you have anything you could share with the audience? And I kind of want to end it on that note because, I want to end it on an uplifting note for if someone's just thinking, I want to do this. I want to start this business. I want to do this, but I just feel discouraged and I feel like I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
What's like one thing that you just think you could share with everyone?
I think the one thing would be don't be scared to fail.
That's
If
great.
you have that fear, you will never try anything worthwhile because you will paralyze yourself with all the things that may go wrong. Sometimes just don't think about it too much. Have that passion. If you have that passion, most things will at least lead you somewhere in a great
Yeah.
place. But try it. Try
Yeah.
it. Kind of like what you're doing. I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
for you, maybe that's also, like a scary place, but you're
Yeah.
doing it. You're doing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's my
No,
piece.
that's encouraging. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I should just step out and do it. And
Just do it.
because everyone's going to have a moment, you know?
Right. What's the worst that can happen? You fail. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You will still learn. You will have
Yeah.
learned not to do, and you may be able to do something else with what you've learned. So it's never
Yeah.
failure. It's a life lesson, and you will have either thicker skin or you have learned something
Mhm.
else. So
Yeah. And people don't, they may laugh and talk, but they're laughing and talking, you're doing. So that's the way to look at it, you know?
exactly.
So, well, this was great. And I've learned so much. I was just kind of taking it in, and I'm inspired now. Even now, I'm looking at my life like, not so bad. I was born and raised here. I can, and I think it's so inspiring, and also how you're able to do this while being a wife with the children, because I mean, your kids are grown, but I'm sure you were working when they were young and balancing that. I mean, do you even have any advice on that? How did you handle it when they were super?
My number one thing is, which it's easy for me to say at this point because we've been together for 33 years, but pick your partner correctly. Like
Wow.
be careful picking your partner.
That's good advice.
Because you need someone who will be there through thick and thin, who will help out. And if it wasn't for my husband, I wouldn't be a partner in a law firm. I wouldn't be a whole lot of things. But as soon as I had my first son, second year law school. I was going to law school at night, working all day. I had my maternity leave, and then I handed the baby over to him. And I said, good luck. And I went back to
Oh my gosh.
And he stopped working, and he took care of the kids. And then 3 years later, we had my second son, and he took care of him. And he took care of everything. He took care of the house. He took him doctor's appointments. He did the groceries. They picked me up from law school at night. He dropped me off in the morning at the metro. It's teamwork. It's partnership. We're a partnership.
I think there's something to be said about that.
But
I think that's such great advice. You really don't hear people say that, but it's so important to choose the right partner, because man,
you got to, I mean, don't be businesslike about it, of course, but you can be
Right.
aligned. You gotta have the same values, or
Yeah.
never gonna last. There's gonna be no foundation. You need the foundation of shared values, and do your homework and ask those questions and make sure you really know each
for
other.
sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I am definitely going to subscribe. This was great. Yeah. So I'm inspired. So thank you again. Thank you.
Thanks so much.